We like to practice.
I'd wait for the signal.
Okay, we call the meeting to order. All the members of the town council are here. If you would state your names, starting from the left.
Teresa Keel.
Patrick Shepley.
Jerry Morris.
Rosemary Hardiman.
Ron Califf.
Mickey Hinman.
Rich McHugh.
And our assistant town manager.
Terry Tiemann.
And our IT director, Will Wharton, is here, and our town clerk, Raylene, is here. And if we would stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, and I'd like to make one change, and that's moving the first item under new business to be next on the agenda, and that is the retirement tributes from Delaware General Assembly presented to Lou Kilmer by Senator Gerald Hocker and Representative Ron Gray. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. And with that, I'd like to Senator Hocker and Representative Gray to please come up here, and also Lou and Maureen Kilmer. Before we start, I just wanted to, you all know Senator Hocker and Representative Gray. Senator Hocker was a member of the House of Representatives for 10 years, and during which he was the minority whip. Is that right? And he's been a member of the Senate for about 12 years now, and he is the minority leader. And our Representative Gray here has been a member of the House of Representatives since 2012, and they are both, I wanted to point out that not only are they our representatives, but I want to let you know how much they do for all of us, the citizens of Bethany Beach. And during the past few years, the two of them have gotten funding totaling almost $650,000 for projects in Bethany Beach. And that included drainage on Hollywood. It also included the Collins Street Pathway Project, money towards that. And also the work that we're trying to do in the Loop Canal, preserving that spit of land that divides the Loop Canal from Lake Bethany because it's been eroding into the canal and causing a lot of problems, and it's also a rookery. And they also got funding contributed towards the drainage of the Loop Canal, the dredging of the Loop Canal, which we hope to do sometime soon. So I wish you all join me in thanking and you all know Lou Kilmer here. For more than 18 years, he has made tremendous contributions not only to Bethany Beach, but also the state of Delaware. And I'm going to let Senator Hocker and Representative Gray let you know more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I have more towns than any one legislator. I have 9 incorporated towns and 3 unincorporated towns by far, but I also have more fire companies. I have 9 fire companies in my district, so it keeps me busy, but I love my towns. And the town council in all the towns will tell you, I don't get involved in town politics unless I'm asked to. And you elect your town council, your mayor, to run the town. And all the towns that I represent do a great job, and I thank them for that. So that's how I feel about town councilmen should run their town, and if they need my help, I'm there, and I think they all know that. Lou, you've been good for Bethany Beach a long time, and I'm happy to you had this on a day that we weren't in Dover, and maybe I planned it that way. Well, I would want you to. So with that, I'd like to read this Senate tribute. It is it is all known to all that am joined by the Senate of the 152nd General Assembly in commending the Honorable Louis B. Kilmer, Councilman, Town of Bethany Beach, recognizing 18 years of distinguished service to the citizens of Bethany Beach. Throughout his tenure, he has tirelessly shared of his time and talent and has gained the respect and high regard of all who have good fortune to know him. Lunge around together. Lou Kilmer's commitment to the community in which he lives is to be applauded. Numerous lives have been touched and enriched by his dedicated efforts. I find it most fitting the Senate recognize this fine public servant for his many contributions to a cherished locale. With gratitude and best wishes for a bright future, the Senate directs this tribute presented Friday, the 21st of June, 2024, to Lou Kilmer. The combination of a job well done is signed by our Senate Pro Tem David Zicola, our Secretary of the Senate Ryan Dunphy, and myself as the Senate sponsor. Thanks for all your hard work.
Well, the House of Representatives never wants to be outdone by a senator, you know, so I got one of these too. Anyway, when I first got elected, I guess I was 2012. You were probably here a little before that with the town. Yeah. So I worked with Lou over the years, and just and Maureen, we've been to fire company meetings and different things. And when things come up, we always try to help you in any way we could. But a little story about Lou. We were talking about, you know, it's always somebody complaining about something. Maybe once or twice a month, somebody says, you did a good job or this, but most of the time you're just trying to help people. And I really enjoyed that. Constituent support for me is really the number one thing. And, you know, if you're missing your taxes or a pothole, whatever's going on, just call me. And then people say, we didn't get back to me. I say, well, just call me again. We're busy. Just come after me. But back to the story about Lou here. So we got talking about different things, and people, you know, somebody's always calling me about something. I said, well, how's it go? He said, well, I've learned how to handle it, folks. And I said, well, how do you do that? He says, well, usually they call up, they're irate, they finally found somebody they can really lay out on what's going on and they're upset about. So I let them go through the whole spiel about this. And then when they finished, I said, you know, this is from Lou, I don't get paid to do this job. and then the whole thing just flips. It flips like, well, wait a minute, he's not getting paid, he's just a public servant. I guess maybe I'll just settle down a little bit and see what Lou has to say about this problem. So, you know, I've told that story several times, and it's I do get paid a little bit, but my wife says it's not enough. But but I think it's plenty. You know, I'm a public servant too. But you've been on the town here, but also the League of Towns too, weren't you? Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, and I go to those meetings sometimes, and you know, Lou was always there. You know, she's like, "Well, here you are." So anyway, you know, just delighted to be here to congratulate. And of course, we have a tribute here too. Let me read mine too, please. So, from the state of Delaware, House of Representatives tribute: be it hereby known to all, the House of Representatives recognizes Lou B. Kilmer, on the occasion of his retirement from the town of Bethany Beach, council member. We commend this outstanding individual for his many years of dedicated service to the town of Bethany Beach. Mr. Kilmer has worked tirelessly for the good of the town, making Bethany Beach a safe, pleasing, hospitable community to reside in and visit. He served on the town council for 18 years, was vice mayor from 2016 to 2018, the mayor from 2018 to 2020, served as president of the Delaware League of Local Governments from 2018 to 2022, and was a member of the Council on Police Training from 2018 to 2024. We thank Mr. Kilmer for his professionalism, leadership, and amazing contributions throughout the years, and bestow our best wishes for an enjoyable retirement. House of Representatives extends its sincere appreciation and directs this tribute be issued the 21st day of June, 2024, and signed by Speaker Valerie Longhurst, Chief Clerk Rich Buffer, and me, your local representative here. So with just lots of gratitude. Thank you so much for your service, and just glad I served you. they want to get a picture up here. You want to say something?
Hope someone stays in front. Get out of the way here.
Maureen's always been his sidekick most of the time, too, so that's just wonderful. She's been a great sport of it.
Photo bomb.
Can someone please email me a picture and I'll put this in my newsletter?
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, get it to Senator Hawk, and I'll get it, you'll share it.
Thank you, Senator.
Good seeing you.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
You
Lou. You
deserve it.
deserved it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for everything.
No, in front.
Front.
Front,
No,
come on.
I
People want to know who you are.
they didn't want it in the picture.
Who to blame.
They didn't want it in the picture.
Center. Thanks so much.
I got saying back down again.
Very nice.
Lou?
Don't forget that, Lou.
Don't forget that.
You auction that off.
Probably get $1.98.
And Lou, you're welcome to stay through the meeting if you want. Okay.
Staying?
Okay, okay.
People, they're afraid to get up.
You doing your penance? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. All right, next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 17th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any changes, revisions? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the financial report. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through May 31st, 2024. We are 16% through fiscal 2025. On the operating budget side, transfer taxes unfortunately continue to be lower than last year. However, operating revenue for the first 2 months of 2025 is on target. We have collected 37.9% versus 37.8% at this time last year. On the expense side, our expenses are slightly higher than expected. We have expended 15% of our budget compared to 13.9% last year. Recognizing that this report is subject to audit, I move that the council approve an unaudited report.
Is there any questions, comments? Anyone present? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is, anybody on the council have any announcements? Okay, at this point in the meeting, if anyone has any comments on an item that's not on the agenda, please, you're welcome to say it now. Anybody? Come up to the microphone, please, and identify yourself and your address.
Janet Freeman, Wellington Parkway. I have some photos. I've written 2 emails to the town about parking on the south side of Wellington Parkway in the first and second blocks. I'm not quite sure how the tie-in from Collins and Wellington translates to defeating the whole purpose of the walking path on the first 2 blocks of Wellington, because the cars, and you know, I can give you photos. I would hope that somebody had forwarded them to you. 2 sets.
Great, thank you. Here, take. Pass one down.
But you have to now walk in the street, walk in the street as opposed to walking in the walking path. So I wondered, since they're not going to have parking on the south side of the 300 block of Wellington, why it continues people continue to park in the parking, in the walking path in the first 2 blocks. The second block is way worse than the first, generally. But people leave their trash cans out, their recycle bins out. Enough about that parking, but the other issue I have an issue with is the blue mats at Wellington Parkway. Where are they?
The what?
Does anybody know where they are? Because Wellington is supposed to be handicap access, but there's only a mat on the very final downslope to the beach itself. But from the ramp up to the beach, all of that is soft sand. And people have a difficult time, not me, but elderly people, they can't access the beach. So I just wondered when we might see those mats.
We will look into that. I wasn't aware that they weren't there.
They haven't been in a couple of years, so I would appreciate making
No,
it easier for us
We
to
will,
walk to the
yes.
beach.
And regarding the parking on the south side of Wellington in the 100 and 200 block, Mr. Garvier did mention that to me, and he's looking into that. I did walk down that street. The path is there, but you're right, the cars tend to park there.
Yes, they do.
And he is thinking about what would be the best course of action. So please know that that's under consideration.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, did you?
Yeah. Mayor, I'd just like to give a recognition. We had talked about this before, to Susan Frederick. I think I had mentioned to you before, I've had 3 or 4 people that I've engaged with, just by talking and walking, who are actually in the process of building or doing renovations. And they've been very, very positive about Susan's work, right? Holding people to account, following the rules, but also having a degree of flexibility to meet, what we're trying to do. And I just thought, in a time where we always trying to focus on what's wrong, having 3, actually 4, sort of unsolicited positive feedback was really positive. So I just wanted to thank Susan for her continued efforts.
Thank you, and I think all of us would agree with that. I think Susan does an outstanding job under some very trying circumstances sometimes. We're going to consider an ordinance that doesn't allow her to retire until she's 80, so please keep that in mind. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ann
And
Wells.
could you push the microphone up a little bit, please? Yes, thank you.
Is this better?
A little better, yeah.
Okay. Ann Wells from Turtle Walk. I had a great interest in the report that DENREC released in February. That report notified us of 2 contracts that they had put in place to examine and model the ocean, the currents, the erosion of the beach, and out of that, they also hired a contractor to do economic analysis. Several of us provided feedback. I was one of those. I sent Lou some information. I think he may have shared it with some of you. I just wanted to let you know that there's a great deal of emotion. I'm sure you're aware of it. People saying that what they're doing will bankrupt the town of Bethany. So looking beyond that, that was why I wrote out of my own work experience some stuff to Lou that he shared. And I wanted to let you know, I got back to DENREC. Sarah Brulicon, I probably have slaughtered her last name, replied to me and said they're behind schedule.
Yes.
They should have had a draft out, I think, in May, about now, with the final in August. And I keep telling her I think it would be very useful to solicit our input. So they're behind schedule. She did not give me a date, but I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting with DENREC on that very issue last Monday, and they are moving along with their contractors in doing this analysis. They've changed some of the ways they're doing it, and they hope to be out with something by the summer. But we also, for those of you who aren't aware, DENREC had put out a proposal. They're talking about a cost-benefit analysis, who benefits from sand on the beach, and then they are talking about the possibility of municipalities or those who benefit by the sand, whether it be the municipality or private, because our sand migrates north to North Bethany. So they're talking about not only the place where they put the sand, but where it migrates to. It's gone through a whole bunch of iterations, but there is that thought that they want to lessen the state share. However, at the same time, Senator Carper, as part of his last WRDA bill, the Water Resources Development Act of 2024, is proposing to change the cost share for the oceanside beaches from 65 federal, 35 state to 80 federal, 20 state. So, we're hoping that something like that goes through. I spoke with John Kane this week, and he's saying that they hope to go to conference with that, the Senate and the House of Representatives by August, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, so there's a whole bunch of balls in the air right now, and we really don't know how, but we do appreciate your offer. Anybody else? Okay, anybody?
Mayor, it's a shame that if Senator Hawker and Representative Gray, I think we've had this conversation with them, and they've been very adamant, without getting into all the dynamics of state government and DENREC and who funds what and how, have been extremely affirmative that they're not going to allow an adverse kind of situation where that happens. They recognize, to your point. So I think they're very, if they had been here, I think they would have spoken up to that. So there's a lot going on right now, but I think they are very, very affirmative in terms of that support. So, and I.
Yeah, okay, okay, okay.
It's great to hear that, the initial response from the public. The response from the public was
Now,
so
let me just say, the only
overwhelmingly
reason we're
negative.
asking you to speak into the microphone is there are people who are watching virtually, and we'd want them to hear
Speaking,
everything
is
you
it turned
say.
on? Yes. Okay. I appreciate that feedback. I would just say, if it could be shared to show progress toward the end result, and Sarah was very reluctant to share any of that information. I understand that because it's a work in progress. But the public was so up in arms, and there was just so much emotion. If there were any way to tamp that down, I think it would be a good thing.
You might want to ask Senator Hawker or Representative Gray to put something like that in their newsletter. DENREC has asked us not to talk publicly about what the details of what they're considering now. However, I would say that in March, the Association of Coastal Towns held a meet and greet in Legislative Hall. And we had Bethany Blues come in. They provided, a buffet lunch. That was the only way we could get people to come and listen to us. But we had handouts and everything just to show what the coastal economy contributes to the state of Delaware in the billions and trillions of dollars. And all the legislators there said that they were not in favor of DENREC's proposal. They thought it was the state's responsibility to take care of the state share of beach replenishment. So we'll see how that goes. That's what they think. And keep in mind, too, that the administration that is pushing this, Secretary Garvin, he will be out in January. So we don't know what's going to happen after that. Well, if we have a whole new administration in, what they will think about it. But it is an issue, and thank you for bringing it forth. Anyone else? Okay. The next item on the agenda is, it's a report from the Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee. Mrs. Olmsted is out of town, and she will present the committee report at the July council meeting. So next up is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee, Mr. Hinman and Mrs. Keel.
Thank you, Mayor. So the major initiative that the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee has been working on is the J1 safety seminar that occurred yesterday at the Bethany Beach Volunteer Fire Department. So it was a seminar it's almost an orientation to Delaware for the J1 students. There were representatives from the Bicycle Pedestrian Safety Committee, the Police Department, the Fire Department, Sussex County EMS, BB Healthcare, and PNC Bank. The fire department was kind enough to share their space with us. Oh, and Mariners Bethel Church, the bicycle program from Mariners Bethel Church, which included some safety seminar on how to ride a bike safely and a course to make sure that everyone who received a bike could ride it safely. This was really organized by the police department. All of the credit to this needs to go to Chief Foley. This is his baby. This used to be done by Sea Colony, and they stopped doing it a couple years ago, and Chief Foley picked it up. So we were happy to assist him. The J1 students had a great time. They got bus passes from DART. They got hamburgers, hot dogs, and pizza, and everybody left happy and more knowledgeable.
I think they said there were 100 students from 12 different countries who participated.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Teresa. That was, and again, I think it really just speaks to the passion that Chief Foley had for this. Because remember back in February or March at one of our committee meetings, he just spoke up and said, we got to make this happen somewhere.
right.
And it was so direct and passionate, and son of a gun, it happened really in a really great way. So that's really speaks to the whole team that put it together, but I don't think it would have come off the way it did unless we had Chief Foley in that role. Another just key thought is, as we're in the middle of the summer season, right, we're already starting to think a little bit on our committee about next year. So for those of you who have interest, one of the things we're going to be talking about at our meeting next week for our pedestrian bicycle safety that Teresa and I lead is around some initial planning for getting input from the community as we start thinking about our 2025 effort. So we're trying to get ahead a little bit of that. So anyone who has thoughts or perspectives on that, we're going to be soliciting your input. We had a lot last time, and we want to sort of build on that this year. So thank you.
I have one more comment. WMDT Channel 47 sent a reporter out to cover this event, and there's a story on their website for anyone who would like to see that.
They did a good job with that. Yeah, and for those of us, there were a number of us who attended that J1 seminar yesterday. It was well done. They did a great job. And I'm going to ask Corporal Lano if he'll come to our house and continue to barbecue. He did a great job. He made all the hot dogs and hamburgers. He did a great job. Anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hinman. Thank you, Ms. Keel. The next item is report from the 4th of July Parade Committee. Mr. Fry.
Well, first of all, let me start with Luke Hilmer. He's going to be our Grand Marshal in the parade, so one more honor for you. Speak into the microphone. Okay. The parade committee met on Wednesday, May 22nd, to discuss final details for the parade. Following the meeting, we had a T-shirt folding session, T-shirts, to prepare for the first sales opportunity on May 24th. I must thank all those volunteers who have sold shirts on the boardwalk so far and will continue till we run out, or July 4th. Sales are going well and are about $7,000 so far, so we've just about broken even. Particularly want to thank Chris Lawrence for stepping up to lead the shirts during Ray Allmiller's absence. As usual, Julie Molesky has contracted with 7 bands and Santa Claus to keep the parade lively. Mark Bauernhuber says the Addie C will again sponsor a lemonade hydration station to quench the thirst of marchers and spectators. This will be at the corner of North Atlantic Avenue and Ocean View Parkway. 7 folks have signed up to be parade marshals, but we can always use a few more for crowd control and safety. Please contact me, Bruce Fry, or Julie Molesky if you're interested. Our final meeting will be in this room at 9 a.m. on July 3rd, where we will huddle with the police, parking, public works, firefighters, and others to ensure we have a well-coordinated and safety. Will! Yeah. I had to keep up with Mickey. I got to have a slide. In case you weren't certain, the July 4th parade will be on July 4th at noon, and there is no rain date. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fry. Are any questions? We're looking forward to this and hoping for good weather. All right, next item is the Non-Residential Design Review Committee report. Mr. Shepley.
Thank you, Mayor. The Non-Residential Design Review Committee, we have the longest name of a committee in town.
And the shortest.
They are efficient, I will say that. We've held 2 meetings since our last council meeting. We met on February. We met on May 23rd and approved a new freestanding post sign requested by and identifying the Bethany Breakers condominium located at 96 First Street. The sign will be installed at the corner of First Street and Atlantic Avenue. On June 17th, we issued a preliminary approval for a new sign for a new business, Dodo Edible Cookie Dough and Ice Cream, located at 786 Garfield Parkway. This is the building just east of DeFebo's Market where I believe a coffee shop and a toy store was. The reason it was a preliminary approval was due to an administrative oversight, and the public announcement for the meeting was not posted timely. So our next meeting is next week, June 26, which we will discuss a final decision for Dodo. And I didn't name it, but it does sound good, by the way. I'm looking forward to it. And a new sign for the Green Island Market down in Town Center.
Okay.
And that's my report.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shepley.
You are welcome.
And the next item is a report from the town manager, Mrs. Teeman.
Okay, Will. Good afternoon. First off, the Loop Canal Dam project. For several months, the Delaware Department of Natural Resources has been unable, because of scheduling, to issue a schedule critical to our engineering. And this meeting would be with DENREC, our staff, and our engineers. This meeting has to delineate specific types of state and federal permits, and we need to move forward. In a breakthrough last week, DENREC has scheduled this meeting for June 26th.
Is that for the dam?
Yes, it's for the dam. Hopefully, the appropriate DENREC staff will be in attendance and our engineers will get the direction they need. This is becoming more and more, the permitting is becoming more and more important as we continue to look for possible funding sources. While we continue to seek funding through FEMA grants, we have also asked for congressional delegation assistance, and Senator Kuhn's office has notified us that we are moving forward with that to the Senate Appropriations Committee. There's no guarantee of the funding, but it's a good first step. It's an important first step, and we hope that we get to make the rest of the steps. So, Beach Patrol, if you're not already aware through the news flash, the Beach Patrol has a new webpage called Safe Beach Day, and that's a digital platform, linked to a digital platform called Watchtower. The webpage presents up-to-the-minute information on surf conditions, storm activity, and other safety concerns, focusing on reducing potential hazards. It also produces a really good weekly report that you have included in your packet. So it's a great tool, and we are among the first to use it in Delaware. DelDOT has erected a new sign installation at, as you're facing south on Route 1, it's facing south, and south of Route 26. They're going to use this for advisories regarding evacuation routes and various numerous messages that they put out there. But the silver lining is that they will also allow the town to message. So we'll have messages regarding pedestrians in the right-of-way there. So that's a good thing. Moving forward to fireworks, which is very important in Bethany. So we have been worried about the width of the beach for fireworks after the past winter, and although the beach appears to be thinner than ideal for fireworks, the fire marshal has given us the permit for the show. Yay. As a rule of thumb, we need about 100 feet of beach width for each inch of shell size. A really good show would be comprised of 4- and 5-inch shells. You would hardly be able to see 2-inch shells from Atlantic Avenue. But once again, because of the narrow beach, our show will be made up of 3- and 4-inch shells. But the good news is we will have fireworks. I think that's great. Just to let you know, we are looking and advertising for a code enforcement officer, and we are going to go through those this week and hopefully interview a few people and some new candidates. So if you have code enforcement issues, please be patient with us. The Christian Church pay-to-park lot right across from Town Hall here. As you know, we received no bids for the work that was needed to convert the Christian Church church property into a pay-to-park lot. So Brett went out and got somebody to bid. It came in lower than the engineering estimate. And you'll be approving this later, or hopefully approving it. But it currently looks like the lot will be open for the 4th of July. And the purchase order on the project is, like I said, on this month's agenda. The police department has a vacancy, and they are recruiting. We feel confident that we will be able to fill that position without going to extremes like some departments in the state are offering signing bonuses, but we feel confident that that won't be the case. So we're looking forward to filling that vacancy. Water Department service line inventory. So the Water Department has been mandated by the FDA to identify what each service line in our 3,600 water services are made of. This is part of the federally mandated program for water departments nationwide to identify lead and/or copper in service water lines. This mandate demands the service provider identify the materials in the service line on both the public side and the private side of the property line. So using as-builts and going through water service applications and using techniques to date homes that were built after the lead ban in 1986, the town has made a significant progress. However, there still remain approximately 900 homes that we are unable to say with certainty do not have lead in the service line on the private side of the property line. So ultimately, the town will need to identify the composition of those 900 private service lines. Our existing staff would not be sufficient with current duties and timelines to be able to do this work, and contracting privately for this work could cost as much as $80,000. To bring the 900 number down to a more manageable level, the Water Department has suggested mailing a survey to 900 affected properties with a questionnaire that will help identify private services that contain lead. Identification in many cases will involve digging up service lines on private property. To bring the 900 number down to a more manageable level, the Water Department has suggested mailing a survey to the 900 affected. I think that's a repeat. So, okay. So anyway, Cliff put that in there just to see if I was paying attention.
You caught it.
But we all know that surveys are famous for having a poor fill out and return rate, and the Water Department has suggested a novel remedy for this. The average yearly water bill in Bethany Beach is $250. It's under $250. So aren't we lucky? The Water Department is proposing a raffle on the return surveys with 20 winners getting free water for a year. So we know that this works because they used it somewhere else, I can tell you. So a $5,000 cost versus a potential $80,000 cost seems like a wise investment. The raffle would certainly raise awareness and create a discussion in the community. The water bill forgiveness would be capped to prevent potential abuse. Attached to this report, which you all received, is the informational flyer the Water Department would like to send and links to the survey. So if you would like to discuss that, please feel free to do so with Cliff when he gets back. But just so you know, I think it's a good idea too. While we don't think it will identify the service material for all 900, we do think it will go a long way to making the 900 number more manageable and to satisfy the EPA, believe me. That's the key. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns on that approach, just ask Cliff. So there is one last thing that Cliff included in here, and I would like to read it verbatim because it involves one of our employees, and I think anytime we can say a good thing about an employee, we should. And this is an exceptional employee. So this is about Brett Warner. Brett is a treasure. These are Cliff's words, and you can tell by listening to it. Maybe not a national treasure, but certainly a Bethany Beach treasure. The amount of animus and vitriol that some residents have expressed in emails, phone calls, and in some in-person meetings regarding concerns and issues over Collins Street has been unprecedented in any of our recollections. Unfortunately for Brett, but fortunately for Bethany Beach, Brett has been our agent on site to deal with Collins Street issues. He's been taking a beating day after day for weeks. Cliff says, God bless him, that he can still laugh about it all, and in so many cases has made friends with people who were outright hostile when they first began their dialogue. What a talent he has with dealing with people with that gruff but appealing demeanor and loud, hoarse voice. He's like our very own Victor McLaglen. And I'm like, I think he did put in there that for two of our younger council people that they might have to Google him. Well, I had to Google him too. But Brett is a treasure, and we do value him. And so if you see him on the street, make sure you say thank you for being Brett.
Thank you,
That
Terry.
last part was
Yeah. Anybody have any? Brett is a treasure.
Yes.
He really is. I've never seen anyone deal with people in such a wonderful way. And when he can't get any further, he'll say something like, well, it wasn't my decision, it was the town manager's. The other thing, just a couple of things. The water lines are important because we're going to have to
very
replace anything that we find.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, good. And then one thing I wasn't aware of until recently, that just because we get funding from our federal delegation, like on appropriations or some other way, because we get the funding, it doesn't ensure that that the agency itself will approve the project for moving forward. Isn't that right?
I think the agency is sometimes reluctant because they have bigger, better things to do, but
Yeah.
usually they approve it.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to satisfy their requirements though,
Right.
in order to.
Right. So that funding doesn't necessarily ensure.
It's there, but
it
you have to
doesn't guarantee
satisfy
it.
the agency's
Yeah, okay.
requirement.
Okay, thank you. Anybody here have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Teeman.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on an ordinance to amend Section 530, signs, by adding a definition and an exemption for open business signs. Mr. McHugh.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with a little bit of the history of this issue. In 2016, the town passed an ordinance that would ban banners and flags and businesses downtown. But then came the pandemic, and the pandemic changed lots of things. But one of the things that happened was the town suspended that rule for the pandemic so that businesses who were open could advertise that they were open to help those businesses. It was pretty hard to tell when the pandemic ended, but there was no means to go back and tell the businesses that they had to revert back to the rule until May of this year, when a message was sent out to the businesses to remind them that they would have to remove those signs that would literally say "open" in front of their businesses. Some of the businesses came back to the town and indicated that they really wanted us to consider leaving the signs up, letting them continue to display them as a way of helping their businesses, and the town agreed to do that, and that's really what this ordinance is about today. So I guess just to briefly talk about what the ordinance would do, we would be amending Article 530 of the code in several ways, but the most important thing we would be adding a definition of a business sign, which would put forth rules that if a sign would comply with that, you could continue to fly an open sign. The ordinance, and I'll just briefly go through what it says. It's a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material, limited to displaying only the word "open." That's what it says at the moment, and limited in size to 27 by 40 inches or 7.5 square feet, that is either hung on a building or suspended as a flag, and that does not impede pedestrian traffic or line of sight to be used during business hours. I would note that I walked through the town the other day to look at exactly what kind of signs are being displayed, and it seemed to me, although spatially it's a little hard to tell what the size of signs are, it seemed to me that a lot of the open signs that are there, and I would say roughly a third to a half of the businesses has such signs. Most of them seem to comply with that standard in terms of size. Some of them had things on the flag more than just the word "open," and that's an issue we have to wrestle with. But for the most part, I think the signs themselves would fall within this rule. So I don't think we would be causing too many businesses, if any, to remove a sign and get a smaller sign because of this. And then lastly, in terms of if we were to move on this, the effective date of this would be the date that the council moves to formally adopt this rule, and that'll be specified in the document as well. So that's sort of what we're proposing to do. I guess
should we open it up for
Well,
discussion?
we have a motion first on the floor. Anybody move approval of it, so we can discuss it?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
You're up.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a very good and necessary change to our ordinances. I would offer one change to this, one addition to this. There are a few signs in town, as Rich said, that have other things on this sign or the flag other than open, but one of which is the name of the business. And I would like to see us allow an open sign with the name of the business on the flag. So if I could make an amendment to our motion? I would like to, in the definition for the open for business sign, after the word open, I would like to add the words or the word open and the name of the business, so that the definition would read, a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material, limited to displaying only the word open or the word open and the name of the business, and limited in size to 27 inches by 40 inches or 7.5 square feet, that is either hung on a building or suspended as a flag, that does not impede pedestrian traffic or line of sight, to be used during business hours.
Can I add something to that? When I read this again, I thought we should also modify, if you look at the last part of it, it says that it should be used only during business hours, but it doesn't say it should be used only during business hours. And I think our intent is that they can display this when they're open, but they can't leave it up all evening or all night. So if I'm correct that is our intent, then we might want to also add it at the end of this to be used only during business hours. So it's clear that that's the only time they can fly in with whatever words that are on it. That to me just makes sense.
I had a little different view, and I think you and I talked about this. If you go downtown, Lily's, see the Lily's place down there? They have and it's a 40, it looks to me like to be 27 by 40 falling within the thing. It's a light blue background, and on top, it does say open, and it has her logo with lilies across it, and on top it says welcome. And so what I was thinking about was to just have a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material displaying the word open, and then doing it that way doesn't preclude them from adding something else. And I don't think on a 27 by 40 sign you can fit much else. I would just hate to have a sign like that, which is so, it's really nice, you know, prohibited by this type of a rule, but I don't know how to go about it.
Can we change the language so it says name of the business and logo? Like open, name of business?
Then we're getting
You don't
in-
want it to be
yeah,
too specific.
Yeah, we're getting down very much into,
Right.
So are you proposing to just strike the word only?
I'm proposing to
Displaying the
strike
word open.
I'm proposing to strike the word limited to and only. So it would read, a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material displaying the word open, because that doesn't limit
Other
other
things.
wording. Saying only or limited to means you can only have those particular words. But if you strike limited to and only, you can put open. And I don't think you're gonna, on a 27 by 40, if you look at that, you can't fit much else on there, you know, like free hamburgers today, or 40, or whatever you want to put on there. But it just struck me because the sign there is just so nice.
It is nice.
And there were a couple of others there, too, that I didn't want to preclude them from being creative or being a little different. Anyway, it's just, it would be an amendment to an amendment.
Well, I'm fine with that change. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because that allows this. It allows the name of the business.
Yeah.
And I would add only.
Although, as I look at the flags, most of what you were suggesting, Mayor, it's really the background to the word open. You know, there's just floral issues or coastal issues on which the word open is written. That's what you're getting to, right?
I'm sorry?
It's the background. Some of these flags are just blue with the word open on them, but some of them have other kinds of pictures or scenes on
Right,
which the word
right,
open is
right.
on.
Right, and this would preclude, if we kept it the way it was written, it
It
would
might
preclude
include
that, yeah.
that.
And
The only reason I'm concerned about that, if you open it up too broadly, they can put theoretically other things on there that the town may not consider appropriate to put on.
Right.
And do we worry about
Right.
that?
Except that right now, they're not doing that.
They're not doing it now,
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, yeah, and I would prefer to give businesses the ability to choose for themselves what they would like on it if they do. There wouldn't be that many who do it. Most of them will probably have the red, white, and blue open signs, limited to that size, but for someone who wants to be a little more creative,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
this would be
And the
helpful.
only, and
for-
I'd also say, I look back at other sections of the code, and there is another provision in it that allows the town to regulate signs for welfare of the town type thing. So if something were to happen like that, I think the town already would have redress there.
Yeah, I think I'm not in disagreement with anything. The only thing I'm a little concerned about it just sort of feels like we're trying to solve a problem that really didn't exist.
Before COVID?
Well,
It-
no, I recognize the COVID impact has allowed, I can't remember what Bethany downtown looked like before COVID, I mean, in terms of,
You weren't allowed to have these signs.
I know, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
picture what it looked like and what it looked,
Oh,
I
right,
know what it
right.
looks like now, and I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that's a natural, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, and I'm a little concerned we trying to solve a problem that really doesn't exist. But to your point, Mayor, I think if we are gonna enforce it, that we give folks a little bit of flexibility within that limit, right? To advertise, to make without precluding things. So we don't want to get into every flag that goes
No,
up, trying to relook at. That's gonna be overkill that we don't need.
And I think the
we
way
have a
it's-
provision if it's really something that's
Isn't one of the main problems the size of the signs?
Right. That was the
And that's,
size,
as
3
long
by
as they're
5.
within size.
Well, it's
Right.
size and in some instances where the signs were displayed. There's a couple instances where I think there may be some, because it says it can't be impeding traffic or,
Right.
there may be a few that are now where they shouldn't be, but that's just part of this, so.
Yeah, okay.
Wait a minute, nobody else has any comments? Okay.
The only other comment I would add, just if we do something, that I would rather it give folks just maybe a month to
Oh, that's
implement
what
it
it's, this
rather
isn't
than.
going to be implemented now. This is the first reading. And basically, it puts people on notice that at the July meeting, we'll be
Okay.
considering a final. So please, if anyone has comments, send them in before then. Yes, name and,
Hi, Cheryl Dorfman, 605 Brookview Court. I've been working downtown for 12 years, and it was before COVID, and there were always flags. I used to have to put one up every day. And so I just wanted to put that in. Also, some of the flags, so that they're not in the way of passing traffic, are fairly high. And to ask people to take them down every night and put them up every morning, we'd have to climb on ladders. And I personally am not in favor of climbing on ladders. So think about that when you're
Thank you.
writing the rule.
thank you very much. And my understanding, I think you might be right about, and you're probably right about the year, but my understanding was in 2016 they were banned. So it was 2016 to 20, I think.
Yeah, just a 4-year cycle.
Is there anyone else who has any comments?
Just in general, before we're not going to vote on it, but
No.
what is the actual verbiage you're going to say?
Did you want to read it, Rich, or?
I'll take a shot at it,
Okay.
if I can reflect, but a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material displaying the word open or,
No, just displaying the word open, and, because then they can put in there whatever they want.
but don't we also want to add explicitly the name of the business?
No, because then they can do that on their
Okay,
own.
they can do it, okay.
If you just tell them they can put open, that's all you're letting them do, is put open. You got to,
We're taking out
Limited
limited
to.
and only. So this is gonna be stricken. So it's just gonna say. So the mayor's suggestion allows them to put things, words, other than the word open. They could put a logo. They could put the name of the business.
They could put pizza on their flag if they sell pizza.
At least one of
Mine
them.
was a little more restrictive because mine would only allow open and the name of the business.
Right.
And as the mayor pointed out, Lily's has her logo on there that probably wouldn't be allowed under my amendment, but yours.
Welcome at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Now,
we're,
it does, I'm sorry, it does open it up, as we've talked a little bit about, but I think we monitor that. And we do have the authority to go to someone and say, this flag is not in the interest of the town.
so just so I understand, it has to have the word open, but it can have other words. That's what,
Yes.
and other pictures or backgrounds or of sorts of that. Okay. So it'll read, a banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material displaying the word open and limited in size to 27 inches by 40 inches or 7.5 square feet that is either hung on a building or suspended as a flag that does not impede pedestrian traffic or line of sight to be used, and I guess we'll have to decide whether we say to be used only during business hours or not. We haven't decided
I
that.
think that's a good consideration.
Okay.
You know, I'm tending to agree with Mickey. It sounds like we're getting into something that doesn't need attention.
Well, if you leave it the way it is, they're banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So I
can't
think
use
we
it.
have,
You
It does need
You gotta allow
attention.
We need to have
No, you
something.
can't, yeah, we have to allow something.
Something,
Yeah.
okay.
The only, Ms. Dorfman, and I hear what you're saying, especially if the pole is up high, but then it gives the impression that a business is open when it may not be open. So that's the problem that I see with allowing the flags or banners to be hung anytime, all the time.
I did,
You have it down there at the jewelry shop, it's there all the time. Yeah.
Mayor, if we just, again, just in consideration, I recognize we didn't have anything before. If we were just to put something that talked about the size and the safety, and didn't even worry about open, didn't worry about the name, didn't worry about the, isn't that sort of giving us the space we need for, so that people aren't out of compliance, right?
the businesses asked for the ability to put an open signs up. That's, I guess, my understanding is that's what they've come to ask for.
Right,
That's what they want. So,
right. But it sounds like we had them before anyway, right? I mean, that's what you were saying. It just feels like we're solving something that's, I don't want to make anything harder for the businesses. If they've had them before, they have them now. I think the
They don't have
biggest
them now.
issue would be the size, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
we
they're
wouldn't
at-
have, we want something twice that.
Well, they didn't have the
So.
ability to do it before, at least
was
a-
taken away
after
from them.
It was taken away.
2016.
They don't have the ability now. They were all dinged on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah,
I know that was us,
Yes.
yeah.
because of, so,
No, because they had open signs.
right, so if I guess I migrate more to putting something in that says you can have the sign, it's a certain size, and not get into what's on the sign. And if it's something that was sort of,
Objectionable.
objectionable or contrary, then we can always have course to
provisions
to
of
go
the code.
back. I mean, I just don't want to get us to every time a sign goes up, we're having to look at it. That's all. If it's within, that's all.
I would just say that the problem with doing that is then your code is your Bible. That's what code enforcement, that's what Susan looks to do. And if you allow that, you could get objectionable signs that somebody else is going to complain about, and then we have no teeth to correct it. The other side of that is, if we say it has to say open, that satisfies the requirement that businesses have asked us to do. But if you don't, and someone complains and says, I don't like their sign, then we don't have anything to correct it with, and it will stand.
Yeah, I'd be concerned about somebody opening like a vape shop and the flag says vape, or a vape shop.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
e-cigarettes, or that it becomes an advertisement, like that they put up a logo a flag they got from a vendor, like a supplier. I think some restrictions are helpful here.
It's the old rule of no good deed goes unpunished.
That's
If
right.
you open up the door, you might regret it. That's what I think, anyway.
Okay, so as it stands, did you want to read it again, Mr. McHugh?
I will make
Just-
an attempt
just-
to
no,
do that
just so
again.
that- so that the public
To
will
that
put
point,
out to
though,
the
if it's
public.
open and the name,
Well, we're not,
well, and the name of the, like you were using Lily's, their name, and if that's what we want to do, then,
But Lily's has a logo or something on it.
and their logo.
But
I
if
mean,
we-
why, that,
if we just say,
That's okay.
that seems
would
like
be
it's okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
it
yeah,
that's all.
because we're not limiting it, we're not saying exactly, once you get into saying what you can say, you start having problems. Yeah, but if you just say open, it means you can have other things, if you're not saying limited to open.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I will try to read this one more time.
This was supposed to be easy.
Yes. A banner or flag sign of lightweight fabric or similar material displaying the word open and limited in size to 27 inches by 40 inches or 7.5 square feet that is either hung on a building or suspended as a flag that does not impede pedestrian traffic or line of sight to be used only during business hours. That's how it reads at the moment.
And then we will take comments on that, we'll add that to the, Mrs. Dorfman's comments,
Okay.
to be added to the record. Okay, is there anyone else who has any comments on this? Okay, anyone on the council? Okay, so this is what will be considered at the next meeting in July, and this is the wording, we'll put it out online, that people have the right to comment on and provide their comments before a final decision is made in July.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. McHugh.
Mayor?
Yes.
If I
Yeah.
could? Only because it's kind of related to flags, but one of the business owners commented to me or asked me, might this or any other ordinance that we have restrict businesses from celebrating the 4th of July? And my reaction was,
No.
what? So I just would like to suggest that we as the council not only say that we will allow those, but I would like to encourage our businesses to hang bunting, display things for the 4th of July.
And that type of thing, a temporary
That's
flag,
already
it's
covered
already
in the
covered,
code.
it's covered in the
Temporary type
code.
displays are
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
so
just
they-
making it
Oh, no, and,
public.
yeah, and I don't blame him for asking the question, because you see this and then you say, well, what does it
Yeah,
mean?
what are we
Yeah, yeah.
restricting?
Thank you, Mr. Shepley. Okay, onward. Okay, discussion, consideration, and vote on a contract by Scott Hitchens Enterprises LLC to install the seasonal overflow parking lot on the Bethany Beach Christian Church property in the amount of $105,000. Mr. Morris?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As everybody knows, parking in Bethany is limited, to say the least. Our town manager has worked with the Christian Church to allow us to put a parking lot in their area. And after consideration, we've gone out for bids on things. We have a bid from our contract from Scott Higgins Enterprises for $105,000 to do the installation, which is actually about 80% already complete. I would make a recommendation that we permit this, pass this 105, and I would also make the comment that as the budget manager, we've already allowed that in the budget for 2025, so it's already accounted for. So I make a motion that we approve this $105,000 expenditure.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Does anyone here present have any comments or questions? Yes, please.
Oh, boy.
Name and address.
Ann Wells, Turtle Walk. My concern is the engineering estimate was, you said, a bit higher. Is this a fixed price contract, T&M cost plus? What is the nature of the contract vehicle that would protect the town, given that disparity that you mentioned? I mean, if no one bid on it, that's very curious, and that's part of my past business is running these sorts of contracts. That's a surprise. And then when the only bid you received was solicited, and it's beneath your engineering estimate, that's a red flag to me.
The project was so small that most people didn't even want to bid, for one thing. The second thing is we didn't, we got the $150,000 in the budget because we thought we were going to add more to the parking lot. Right now, the conservation group will not allow us to put any kind of paving where the cars are going to park, and that was in the original estimate. So it's going to stay, we're going to keep the money in the budget. Hopefully, the path where the cars are going to be driving, where it's stone right now, will be okay. But my feeling is if we get some good rains, the parking lot's going to turn into something other than a parking lot. So we've got to look into that, and if it happens, we'll have to address it at the time.
So my question about protection from an overrun, given that it came in significantly lower, it sounds like, than the engineering estimate. What's the contract vehicle? Cost plus, T&M, fixed fee? What are you using?
So, Terry,
Okay,
maybe
it
you can
says-
answer
The
this.
contract says provide material and equipment and labor to install a parking lot in the Christian Church property.
So, I understand your question.
Thank you.
I do understand your question. The contract will say, sorry, I don't have the number is $112,000, no, $105,000.
$5,000, right.
It will be do we build in 10% for overruns or for change orders or?
I do think we built that into the budget, and if it occurs, then we'll make it.
Right, I know it's in the budget, but the question is the contract a flat fee contract?
I believe it's flat.
And we will have to do change orders if
We'll have to
there's-
do it
if
if
that answers
he
your
does
question?
more than,
So
Yeah.
before you accept before you make the final payment, they have to pass acceptance, and.
Right.
And
Correct.
105 is the number.
Right.
yes.
So the contract would be clear to say the ceiling on this contract is 105. Acceptance is contingent on completion of all work as described.
Right, and if
Yes.
something comes up that was unexpected and not in the original bid,
Piece,
Sure.
okay, gotcha.
right, right.
Thank you very much for the question. Anyone else? Anyone else on council? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it.
Next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on setting a date for the town council election, Saturday, September the 7th, 2024, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Mayor Hardeman?
Okay, actually, we don't have any choice on what day we're going to have the election. It's in the charter. Therefore, I make a motion that we set the election date for Saturday, September 7th, 2024, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And then just remind anyone wishing to file as a candidate for the election must file a written notice of intention, which is an application for candidacy in the town manager's office at Town Hall no later than 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Take a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on appointments to the election board and election officers. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. For the election board, we'll have Charles McMullen and Chris Aumuller. Election officers, Suzanne Evans, Denise Foliard, John Gong, Andrea Gowetsky, Jan Kinsella, Rick Moran, Pat Moran, and Greg Rinker. Many of these people have served from year to year and have done a fantastic job, and so they're experts at this, and we're very grateful to them for doing this every year.
We have another person.
I think it was an amendment. There's
Was there
another-
There
amendment?
was an amendment.
Yes, there's amendment.
Oh, I didn't get
you
it,
gotta
I'm sorry.
get Pat
Oh,
Moore.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Okay, so we're moving Pat Moran up to the Board of Elections, so that'll be Charles McMullen, Chris Aumuller, and Pat Moran will be the Board of Election. And then election officers will be Suzanne Evans, Denise Foliard, John Gong, Andrea Gowetsky, Jan Kinsella, Rick Moran, and Greg Rinker. And I move that we approve this, the members of the Board of Election and election officers.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, discussion, consideration, possible vote on setting the date of the town council organization meeting for Monday, September the 16th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Mayor.
Thank you. And again, this is written into our charter, so we don't have any option here. I move that we have the town organizational meeting on Monday, September 16, 2024 at 10 a.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None.
Okay, that's it for the items on the agenda. Does anyone have anything else? Or can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for participating virtually. And thank you again, Mr. Kilmer,
Thank
for the
you,
wonderful
Mr.
job.
Kilmer.
And thank you, Maureen, for all that you did.
Oh, yes.
We just reversed it. It's a new world, different world.